And what is up, guys? Welcome to episode 12 of the LBank Show. I'm your host, Muha, and today with us we are having an amazing guest. And you did see the announcement on our Twitter, right? We are having Herbert Yang as a general manager at Definity of Asia. He's also a serial entrepreneur and business leader of growth and innovation. He also leads Definity's Asian operation to grow the developer ecosystem for internet computer. He also incubate those Web3 startups. Before Definity, he'd been in the Web2 industry for almost 2 decades. And the Internet Computer blockchain provides the first world computer blockchain that can be used to build almost any online system or service, including demanding web social media, without needing those traditional IT such as cloud computing services. Such it can be enable full end-to-end decentralization. And I will not talk more about this amazing project that we have here, because I have an amazing man for that one. Herbert, can you hear us well? Hi.
Hey, Muha. Yep, loud and clear.
Thank you so much thank you so much for accepting the call to come on the LBank Show episode 12. We are very honored to have you here as general manager of Asia at Definity, and we hope we will educate our users and listeners more about crypto, blockchain, and Web3 itself. So this part will be free chat, and we will have AMA where you will answer those questions that we prepared for you. The first part itself, it's called free chat. So please tell us what has been on your mind recently, Herbert.
Oh, thank you, Muha. Thank you, LBank, for having me, and this is a great pleasure to be able to join you guys for this series to introduce us to your audience and to share with you, what we're doing. And to your question, Muha, what am I up to lately? I'm heading to Hong Kong in a couple of days. Right. Obviously, this week Hong Kong is in the full swing of Hong Kong FinTech Festival. So I'm going to join a lot of friends in Hong Kong. At the end of this, we have this upcoming event called Hong Kong Web3 Months that is organized by some of the most experienced developer communities in Hong Kong. So Definity team, we're gonna do some presentations, some keynotes and panel discussions in Hong Kong early next week. So that's what's been on my mind, because I just learned that the schedule is going to be fairly intense. We're going to do like 4 different sessions in 2 days. But I'm looking forward to that because, as you know, probably Muha, Hong Kong is shaping up to be a very major and a very vibrant regional center for crypto and Web3. So a lot of the Chinese developers, investors are flocking to Hong Kong, trying to tap into the the new opportunities unlocked by the Hong Kong government. So so we are looking forward to having a good time in Hong Kong in a couple of days.
Indeed, and you guys been building in the bear market itself for such a long time. I mean, you've been building, and people can see that on your Twitter at Definity. Herbert, what I want to ask you is, you've been in the industry itself for such a quite time, right? I mean, you've been pioneering the way for blockchain and Web3. And how did you get in Definity? How did you get in this crypto space?
Yeah, so I joined Definity Foundation about 2 years ago, right after Definity Foundation launched the ICP mainnet, which was May 2021. I joined 2 months later in July 2021. So I have been doing running the Asia team ever since. But before that, I was and I think I told you earlier, I was with Amazon Web Services, AWS. Among all the companies, AWS is the one company that Definity tries to disrupt or try to replace in a non-subtle way. So that's quite interesting. I was with AWS for 3 years, running the startup division for Greater China, AWS. But before that, I was in Silicon Valley. I was living in Palo Alto for a couple of years. That's when I got to hear about Definity Foundation. I think back in 2017, at the end of 2017, when Definity raised a monster round from Andreessen Horowitz and Polychain. And I remember the headline was, okay, this hotshot, startup from Silicon Valley is trying to disrupt AWS. That was just very, very bold, very audacious. Being in Silicon Valley, Amazon Web Services was like untouchable. It was like how dare anyone startup, make such an audacious claim. But there is a lot of money from Andreessen Horowitz and pretty much everyone, Funbushi, Hashkey, SNZ Capital, you name it, all the crypto OGs in this industry. So that's when I became intrigued. Like I wanted to find out what this foundation, not even a company, this foundation is doing. So I in Silicon Valley, there's a very small circle of all the Chinese investors, entrepreneurs, and all that. So I talked to one of the co-founder of Definity Foundation. His name is Tom Ding. So he was an early founder working together with Dominic Williams, our founder and chief scientist for Definity Foundation. So Tom Ding, he was in Silicon Valley. So he introduced me to Definity Foundation, shared with me what the R&D team was doing at the time. Then I realized, okay, maybe they're still a couple of years away from Definity Foundation launching the mainnet. Even though I wanted to help the foundation to start building the community and all that, but nothing was available yet. There was no SDK. So okay, I figured maybe that was way too early. So I took a detour and joined AWS in the end. But then 3 years quickly passed. At the end of my 3-year tenure in AWS, I asked my friend in foundation, "Are you guys still there? I know you guys are still there, but are you guys, how does things look for you guys?" It seems that the R&D team is still plugging away and releasing a lot of really interesting features. That's when I figured that would be the right time for me to join the foundation, using what I've learned in the past from other industries like cloud computing space and being an entrepreneur myself in the early days to help the foundation to build this developer ecosystem in Asia.
Amazing. I mean, the story itself is so intriguing and interesting. And you did touch on my next question, actually, which is, can you tell us more about the history of Definity and what is the main goal that you guys have?
Yeah. Thank you for that question, Moha. And it's funny that now in a lot of the Twitter Spaces or just offline events, the younger generation of developers, a lot of them, they don't know about Definity anymore. They're like, Definity, the name, I think I've heard about the name. What are you guys doing again? So I think it's good to sometimes to refresh our memory about what Definity is and where we came from and all that, because this industry things change really quickly. People just want to look at sort of the new generation of layer ones, and then just conveniently close the chapter on all the old networks like Definity. But I beg to differ. Anyway, so Definity Foundation is one of the oldest foundations in the crypto industry. We were founded by, as I mentioned earlier, Dominic Williams, our founder and chief scientist, in October 2016. We are headquartered in Zurich, Switzerland, as a nonprofit foundation. So this is a very similar setup to Ethereum Foundation, Cosmos, Cardano, and a few other major foundations in this industry. And we have a global staff of over 200 people. Most of us, we are in Europe and America, and with a small but growing team in Asia. And most of our employees are R&D researchers and engineers who know how to build a network. We have recruited a lot of the first-class, world-class cryptographers and engineers from Google, IBM, Amazon Web Services in order to work on the mainnet. And it took us 5 years. 5 years feels like a few lifetime in crypto. It took us 5 years to launch the mainnet. And that is very unique about Definity. Usually, if you look at what happened in the last couple of years, it took about a year and a half to maybe 2 years for a new team to launch the mainnet and then issue a token and all that. But for us, we wanted to do this right. We spent 5 years working on that and launched the mainnet in 2021, May 2021. That's called Internet Computer Protocol, or ICP in short. Not to be confused with a rapper group in America in the 70s, which is a bit of a running joke in the community. So we have so in the journey of Definity Foundation, we have raised 5 rounds before we did our own token listing. So we raised money from pretty much all the major players in crypto. From in Asia, that would include Hatchkey, Fenbushi, SNZ Capital, and many crypto OGs from China. So the fun fact is, the little known fun fact is, we actually have a very deep root to the Chinese community in crypto. Without them, without their value discovery in the early days, there'll be no Andreessen Horowitz or Polychain, that came afterwards. And then once we get to the fateful May 2021, the Genesis event, I think a lot of things happened that year that make for good stories in the future book about Definity. But we have come a long way since Genesis in the last 2 years. Our network has been growing rapidly. We have now included in our network 36 subnets. Subnets is our way of achieving the horizontal scaling with more than 500 nodes globally across Europe, America, and Asia. And we're trying to reduce our exposure in America and maybe build more nodes in Europe and Africa and Asia. And we have thousands in our ecosystem of developers building hundreds of different decentralized applications using our SDK, which is open sourced from ICP. So in a nutshell, that's a bit of a brief history of Definity and what we have achieved in the last 2 years.
And sure, you did achieve a lot of things for the past 2 years. And my next question is about how does the Internet Computer Protocol work and what it makes unique from the other protocols, like you mentioned, Ethereum, for example.
Yeah, that's a big question, Moha. So let me try to explain this without using any PowerPoint slides, which is usually quite convenient. But so ICP is a multi-blockchain network. We are a layer 1 blockchain, as I think that's how we are known in the industry. But we are actually a multi-chain network. So what I mean is we grow by using subnets. So in other ecosystems, they call that sometimes sharding. So basically, that's how we grow. So each subnet is a separate blockchain. And each subnet usually has 13 nodes, or we call them replicas. So this is how we form the consensus on this subnet. And then all these smart contracts, we call that canister smart contract, they exist, they reside on this subnet. And then they once they achieve consensus, they will generate a new block. Right now, we are producing at a rate of 35 blocks per second. So the blockchain is growing rapidly. And this subnet is, you can imagine this is actually a decentralized version of Amazon Web Services. So when AWS tries to grow globally, it will create a new region that consists of massive server farms and all that. So for ICP is really a world computer that consists of many independent IDC data centers. We don't own those data centers. That is a major difference between ICP and AWS. Right? AWS or Ali Cloud or Tencent Cloud, they will just own all the servers. That's the whole idea. But in ICP, we don't want to take ownership of any of those data centers. We want them to be independent, but we want them to use the same protocol that we have created. So using our protocol, they're connected to form this giant virtual machine that is literally called internet computer, and that runs a lot of smart contracts, which is in the form of canister smart contract. So in a nutshell, that's how it works. And how the second part of your question is, how is it different, right, from other blockchains that we usually talk about? I think the few differences. Number one, we are the only technology stack that is able to do three things in one. Sort of a trinity version of blockchain. That is our smart contract, which is called a canister, literally a canister. If you can imagine a canister, it's like a Docker, like a light version of Docker, from a traditional cloud computing. Our smart contract is the only one that can do distributed ledger, also providing computation power, and also providing data storage. So that is very unique, right? Because for all the great things, for example, Ethereum is capable of. Ethereum does one thing and one thing only, that is distributed ledger. That basically says, okay, you, Muha, you are the owner of this asset. Me, Herbert, I'm the owner of another asset. Oh, let's do a trade. So we exchange some assets. So now the ownership has changed. So we make sure there's a consensus and all that can define that. There's no disagreement. There's no double dipping and all that. So that is, in a nutshell, the entire working of Ethereum, right? So in ICP, obviously you can do that. You can do the same with pretty much all other blockchains. But then we can also provide computation power. We can also provide data storage. That means, as a developer, if you want to build a web service, all you need is ICP. You can do everything within the smart contract of ICP. That is not possible just anywhere else. You cannot do that, obviously, on Ethereum. You will need to, if you want to do another CryptoKitties, right? Today on Ethereum, you will have to probably get a virtual instance from Amazon Web Services, open up an EC2, maybe store images on S3 from AWS Web Services, or you need to get a data storage from Filecoin or Arweave. But basically, you have to assemble a lot of different pieces together in order to actually run a service to users. Where the smart contract that defines this whole changing of ownership is only a small part of all that. But on ICP, you can do the entire thing with just one smart contract. So that's very powerful, very, very unique. That's number one. And then number two is we have this reverse gas fee model. Basically, there's no extra fee for any transactions, right? We all know Ethereum. I think arguably one of the things that makes Ethereum very efficient is the gas fee. So that if you have highly vested interest, you really want to get this transaction, you pay a higher fee. All right, that's fine. It's very efficient, but obviously the flip side is it's very intimidating for the new users that are just coming to Ethereum. Right? Why do I have to pay extra, sometimes a couple of ETH just to buy this NFT? Besides on top of the ticker price. But in ICP, our model is reverse gas fee model, so there's no extra fees, except for this one transaction fee that is 0.001 ICP. So at today's price, that is literally 0.4 cents. It only exists because we need to prevent DOS attack. If we made transaction fee completely zero, there will be DOS attack. So that's the reason it's there. But other than that, there's no gas fee. And that is a very major philosophical difference between the developers of ICP versus the rest of the crypto industry. Because we believe, we want to create the same user experience as the traditional web users. If I go to Amazon.com, I buy something, that should be it. There shouldn't be any extra charge, right? We want to be able to recreate the whole user experience for the traditional web users. So that's number one. Number two, we feel that the cost of of keeping up the service running, that should be borne by the developers. We shouldn't be shifting that burden to the end users, which is what Ethereum is doing. Right? For the Ethereum developer, you basically incur your cost once when you deploy the original smart contract, Solidity smart contract on the mainnet. Okay, and then you pay nothing in all the subsequent iterations, because users, they just need to, if they need to access your smart contract, they need to pay a fee to the Ethereum mainnet. That is good for the developers, but not so easy for the users. So we sort of took the hard route of imposing this requirement to the developers, so that you have to create a really good service in order to attract your users. And then you have to be able to create sustainable revenue streams to attract your users, so that they keep coming back. That's how you can pay the bill, to power the smart contract, as you would do if you're just renting your house as an Airbnb listing. You have to pay for the utilities and all that. So it's the same idea. So that's the second very major difference between ICP and pretty much every other protocols in the industry. Then number three is we have this autonomous software system, where we believe a web service needs to be able to be updated autonomously. We'll come to that in more gory details and in the subsequent questions. But this is the for someone, I've been working in the internet industry for more than 2 decades. This is something that we have never seen before in the history of the internet. A lot of the things traditionally we assume they are automatic, but they are not. They all involve human operation at a certain point. But in ICP, happy to report that we are able to do away with that human element, so that we can really achieve Cody's law. We call that as NNS, network nervous system. It's a bit of mouthful. But anyway, that is a very revolutionary feature of ICP, where we can really allow programs to update themselves automatically. I think the last but not the least is our DID system, which is called an Internet Identity. All right. Again, this is extremely different from MetaMask and all that, which we think is just, from a security standpoint, is just very, very fragile, very vulnerable, and that creates barriers for a lot of this. Our DID is called Internet Identity, creates a huge barrier for a lot of developers from embracing ICP, because everyone is already very familiar with MetaMask and CyberConnect and all that. But I thought, wow, you guys are doing this completely differently. Yes, that is true, but we do this for good reason, because the goal of ICP, Muha, we're not trying to create another better version of Ethereum. We're not even trying to create a better version of Bitcoin. We're trying to recreate a better version of the internet as we know it. That's why we took 5 years to build this whole thing, and we are still working on many major features. We'll talk about that on the roadmap in subsequent questions. That's why this is really, really hard, and it took a lot of people, some of the best scientists and researchers in the whole world, cryptographers, to create this. But that's why it might be a little bit difficult to understand in the beginning. But I think a lot of developers, once they come to understand how unique ICP technology can be and can enable their applications to do, they will become a very strong believers. So in a nutshell, that's how we are. That's how ICP works. That's how we are different.
And what are the benefits, or we can say, and challenges for developing decentralized application, the apps on internet computer blockchains? Because we did talk about some of the benefits, and what are also the challenges of developing the applications on internet?
Yeah, I think the challenge is really one is a new technology stack that that is craving for mass adoption. So as a developer, as a future entrepreneur, you really have to think carefully. Do I want to be an early adopter of this technology? Obviously, the benefits that come with it is if you are here early, you stand to gain the most, right? But that could be intimidating. The barrier is high because our technology, our terminologies is just entirely different. For example, I mean, just at a more technical level, ICP is not compatible to EVM. We don't use Solidity. We have our own language called Motoko. We created this whole new language because it can really illustrate the power of ICP. So as a developer, you got to learn a new language. You got a whole new set of lingos and notions that seem to be very foreign to you. So that would be the major challenge. It's a challenge we run into on a daily basis, that we have to overcome. Sometimes the skepticism, sometimes I think the challenge from the communities. Why are you guys doing something so different from everybody else? And then the second challenge is probably at a more psychological level. Just we are the minority. Like ICP developers, we are not the mainstream. We are the minorities. We are a small but resilient cohort. So you have to be comfortable with that as a developer. And we want you, we want you to be, we're doing everything we can from the Definity Foundation standpoint to help you, to give you that support, whether emotionally or from a grant and everything else. But we are the minority. So you have to be able to make peace with that. Do you want to just follow the mainstream way of doing things, doing basically what everyone else is doing, or you dare to be different? You dare to be part of the minority that sometimes you will have our fair share of skepticism, if not just outright attack. People say, wow, whatever you guys are saying, it's impossible to achieve. So people don't believe we are able to do what we say, that is already possible. So it takes a lot of effort to convince people we are building something that is so revolutionary that is going to change the world. And sometimes that's a little bit hurtful to some people, because if they come to appreciate what ICP is capable of, that means that means the previous belief is crumbled. That means previously, what a lot of people have been working on, that foundation is no longer there, because now we have something that is better, that is far more superior. We believe that is leading the industry by at least a couple of years, and that whole belief is not easy to change. But we are, even though we are still a small cohort, we are growing. Our army is our believers, our the fellows on this journey is growing. So that gives us the satisfaction and the comfort every day.
And in blockchain itself, the sky is only the limit. So the people should know that. So the sky is only the limit. You build a lot of things in a blockchain that maybe 5 years ago, people say, well, this is impossible. But now we showed them that it is. And minorities, sometimes we can say something unique, for example. And you guys are unique.
We are very, very unique. And this is something I always tell the new developers in our ecosystem. That is, I mean, of course, you can try to do the same thing as others, but what gives me the conviction for me personally that ICP is here to stay, that we can contribute something to the society, is because there are certain things that are only possible on ICP that is not possible to build anywhere else. But I think the same claim will be very hard to make in other blockchain ecosystems. While others can argue that, oh, we are a little bit faster than Ethereum, we're a little bit cheaper than Ethereum. But it's not a real game changer. it doesn't really change the paradigm. But I think in ICP, people can find that there are many unique use case scenarios that just not possible in any other technology stacks in the world.
And developers have everything they need. Just there is just to build, and they can come to ICP and they just build, and they have everything that they need.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to create, the best possible developer experience for the new entrepreneurs. I would say our work is cut out there, Muha. I think we still need to do a lot more to help the developers to make sure they have the good libraries, toolings and all that. But we have come a long way in the last 2 years. For example, we have this $200 million developer grants, this program to support developers to subsidize their development cost on the building on ICP. A couple of months ago, at the beginning of the year, we just launched this community grants program to help community leaders to help us spread the gospel of ICP around the world. So we have all these different vehicles, different programs to help developers. And Motoko is, as a new language, is continuously evolving, and we're trying to make this language as versatile, as exciting as possible for the uninitiated developers that are just joining our ecosystem. But we still need to do a lot more. I think we still need to give them a lot more support to help them identify what kind of features will make sense to be built on ICP. Which particular technical feature from ICP will be most relevant to their product. Sometimes the answer is not always clear, even to the founders themselves. If they come from the sort of the traditional crypto world, they just want to put another spin on the same product with ICP. That may not work. So we have to give them a lot of guidance along the way. But that's what made this job really fun, to help them grow, to help them explore, sometimes goof around new things together.
Indeed. And we did touch on that theme, actually. Can you maybe provide the examples or projects or companies that have successfully integrated Definity technology?
Oh, sure. I can name quite a few. The first come to mind would be OpenChat. So OpenChat is this instant messaging applications that is 100% built on ICP. Right. So it's a front end. You go to oc.app. That's a URL. We are so glad they were able to get to register for this domain name. It's very powerful. So go to oc.app. It's OpenChat. What you can do is basically everything you are able to do on Signal, Telegram, and WeChat and WhatsApp. You can do the same thing on OpenChat, but it's completely running on a blockchain on ICP. And so that is pretty amazing to a lot of us. And among all places, I think it has some very strong, very hardcore users from China, because in China's particular situation, WeChat is ubiquitous. Every Chinese uses WeChat, but WeChat has its limitations, right? A lot of things you just cannot do, you cannot say on WeChat. But with OpenChat, a lot of the Chinese users quickly find OpenChat to be a more than enough capable replacement, if not a far more superior replacement to WeChat, especially during some dark days. So OpenChat has grown rapidly. It went through a very successful SNS sale, which is our form of public sale of raising funding from ICP holders in early March. I think they raised at the time roughly equivalent to $4 million, and in the bear market, that's very respectable. And it's only built by 3 developers out of London. I mean, that's going back to the benefit of building on ICP. It's cheaper, it's easier. This whole application that now has tens of thousands of daily active users is only built by 3 programmers. Previously, that just not possible at all. But on ICP, that is a reality. So OpenChat, and you also have Dmail. Dmail is now probably the largest, the one with the most sizable user group in all the IC applications around the world. It's built by this team based out of Asia. So you can receive and send emails on the blockchain. So if you think about, in the past, over the last 2 years, Gmail it was Yahoo Mail, and then Hotmail, and then Gmail dominated this whole space. And they made the service for free. Why? Because they are selling our data, because they are reading our emails and all that. Because that's a central problem of the internet. Because we don't, as users, we don't own any data that we have generated. So Dmail is changing all that. So you, as a user, you will have your own canister where all your emails will be stored in your own canister. So that is how we can help users to achieve 100% digital sovereignty, where you can claim that finally you are the true owner of your own data. The same thing, by the way, this is the similar structure in OpenChat as well. So in OpenChat, you will have your own canister, which is just basically a smart contract that has all your chat histories, all your images you uploaded to OpenChat and all that. Oh, by the way, you have to pay for that. You have to pay for that because it consumes data storage and the computation power and all that. So the more you use the application, the more you need to pay to continue to power your own personal canister smart contract. So that is, from the get-go, you can see that Muha, it creates incentives for the developers to make sure the product is valuable to the users, that the users are willing to pay for that. Because I think that's a pitfall for a lot of the crypto projects, that too many developers just wait for the airdrop, wait for the moment of issuing tokens. Oh, then we'll be done with it. Money will drop from the sky, and then that's it. That's not how this whole thing should work. But anyway, so this is the Dmail, and then we have another Asia team that's called IC Lighthouse. IC Lighthouse is the first order book decentralized exchange that is running completely on the blockchain. If you go to the product, it's called ICDEX, icdex.io, you see a very classic interface of order book. So this is where you can buy and sell a lot of tokens in ICP ecosystem, right? Nothing fancy here. But under the hood, the entire front end and the back end of ICDEX are running on the ICP mainnet. So this is remarkable, because I think when we talk about the security risk of blockchain, right? Basically two major risks. One is your front end is compromised, so someone is able to hack into your system. That happens almost on a daily basis. And the second one is the rug pull by the founders, right? But I think the key philosophy of ICP is we have to decentralize at every step of the way in order to lower the risk of your data being hijacked. Number one is you need to build the application, hopefully entirely on chain, so that not even your front end can be hacked into, because now you can leverage the security provided by this layer 1 blockchain called ICP, right? And now on the second one is we'll talk about the SNS later, but by building application entirely on ICP, this team will eventually be able to decouple themselves from the application, so that they can pass the ownership of this decentralized exchange to their users, to the community, and that's what we call autonomous software. So that is very powerful. It's one of a kind. I believe the only one in the whole world, in the world of decentralized exchanges. They are the only one that is able to do this on a blockchain. So IC Lighthouse. I think another one that I want to call out is a gaming developer studio called Dragons. So Dragons is building a MMORPG game on the internet computer. They are launching the alpha version. The plan is to launch that in the fourth quarter, so anytime now. And we saw some early early demos. It's pretty impressive. Again, we're talking about an MMORPG that is running completely on chain, right? With all the animations, all the characters. That's pretty groundbreaking. And this developer studio is not just anyone. It's founded by Adam Powell, who is a very famous serial entrepreneur from the Web 1 era. He was a creator of Neopets, a very popular MMORPG game, I think back in 20 years ago. So he's, this team has the money, has the reputation, has the technical know-how to build, to undertake this massive challenge of building a MMORPG game on the blockchain. And they are working on that, and the entire ecosystem, we are anxiously waiting for them to release the alpha version in the next few months. So this Dragons, something that to look forward to. So I just there are many wonderful decentralized applications already emerging out of ICP. There's a long list. This will not do the justice. I think these are the few I think that are really making heads turn in their own verticals in the ICP. So please check them out, see what they are capable of.
Indeed, and some of those companies can comment under this video or Twitter, so we will give them a shout out for sure. And actually, you did touch on this question, is anonymous software. So can you explain that concept, because it was mentioned multiple times and we want to know more about it and how it is implemented into internet computer?
Yeah, this is really I don't get this question a lot because so really thank you Muha and the LBank team for putting forward this question. This is actually the most difficult thing to do for the internet. So how it works is like we all have a DAO. Now the DAO is running the world. Everybody has a DAO. The question is, when DAO makes a decision, when the DAO or the community or committee, however we call it, when this DAO reaches a conclusion, how does it implement the decision? That's the whole key. And nobody really pays much attention to that, because in most cases outside of ICP, basically you need a human being to push a button somewhere to make this happen, essentially. So that is not good enough, by many of us from Definity Foundation. That's not good enough because it involves human. It's what if this one human, what if he just screws up, or God forbid, what if he runs away? It happens a lot. So there's this last mile problem, with all the wonderful things we talk about DAO, and as if we are already living in the utopia world. And but by the end of the day, how that decision is implemented from a technical standpoint does not get enough attention, and that's what in ICP we try to change. So in ICP, the way this works is, for example, let me just use ICP as an example. From the moment Definity Foundation launched the ICP mainnet in May 2021, that was a magical moment, because from that moment onwards, technically speaking, ICP was no longer owned or controlled by the Definity Foundation. It was from that point, the controllership was passed over to what we call the NNS, Network Nervous System. This is the DAO that consists of all the ICP holders. So it's the NNS that is right now the rightful owner of ICP, no longer Definity Foundation. All right. So going forward, so when it comes to autonomous software, how can as a primary developer for ICP, how can we continuously update the network? We have to commit some code changes, right, to the code base. So to do that, we have to submit a proposal, an NNS proposal. and the proposal has to be passed by the community with a vote. That's how we can commit the changes. And if you look at the content of this proposal, Muha, you'll see that by the end of the day, it's a payload. It's a JSON payload. So once this proposal is adopted with a yes from the community, this JSON payload will be deployed automatically into the code base of ICP. That's the magic. That particular process happens automatically. So it's not like oh please Jerry, please push the button and push the code so that we can be done with it. No, there's no single human involved in the process. So once the community has which the entire process is in public, it's transparent, on the dashboard internetcomputer.org. So once the whole process is run through its course, the code will be deployed automatically. So this is what we call autonomous software. And like in a similar case for OpenChat, because they have adopted a similar system, we put an SNS, service nervous system, right? So technically speaking, the three programmers now, even though they were the early founders of OpenChat, they no longer control OpenChat as of now. It's now controlled by the DAO, or by this DAO that was created when they did the public sale. It consists of all the token holders of OpenChat. So for them to do an upgrade, say, oh, we want to take some money out of the bank so that we can retire at a Bahama beach. Well, they will have to submit a proposal to the community. If the community doesn't agree with that vision, they cannot get the money out of the treasury. So this is obviously this is there are some other nuances when it comes to this new way of forming consensus and all that. So one has to be careful. Don't get too carried away with it, because if you say, oh, can I buy a chair in the office? You don't need to do an NNS proposal for that. So there's a line that there's a delicate balance in there that we have to determine. But that's the whole idea of autonomous software.
And you actually answered my question about NNS.
Oh yeah, NNS.
So in a nutshell, for the users to understand, what is NNS, or network nervous system? How can we describe it in a nutshell?
In a nutshell, NNS, I think a very crude analogy will be, in the old days we have company. We have industry association, right? We have OPEC, and all these different industry consortiums that need to make a decision. Now we have NNS, right? Because NNS will consist of three types of people: the people who buy the token, the holders, and the people who use the service, so the users, and the people who are developing for the service. So usually that will be the original founders. So this NNS is a DAO. The DAO consists of these three types of people, and all of them, they share vested interest in the success of this service. In the old days, it would take something like a company, like a LLC, right, to assemble this group of people together. But obviously, LLC it's not designed to do this. It has its limitations in today's world. But NNS is very capable. It can grow. There's no limit of how many people you can include in NNS. There's no limit of how much assets you can stake on an NNS. For example, the NNS that now governs the operation, the day-to-day running of ICP network, I think has about 1.4 billion assets staked on ICP. So that's very powerful. These are believers of ICP's future. It almost functions as a company, right? To make a lot of decisions. Sometimes can be some decisions can be more trivial than others, but some others are very monumental decisions. So almost like a company, almost like a community that can make very forceful decisions, not just chit chat. Hey, we think the flower should be red this month. No, it actually makes very consequential decisions. So it's almost like a Congress in a way that it's almost like American Congress. You have all these different congressmen or senators submitting different political proposals to create laws. So NNS is almost like a Congress. So that is in our view how in the future the society could function. There'll be many different mini version of NNS to govern different operations, large or small, even at the local, municipal or government level. That is entirely possible. So we think there's a lot of growth for this NNS idea itself. It's more than just a DAO. It's a DAO that can actually make decisions, that can make changes, and that is totally decentralized. That is the key.
And it's definitely something that you guys are proud of. And the golden thing that I have already questioned here is, what is the roadmap of internet computer development for a couple of years now? Because we did talk about the past, we did talk about the current stages that you guys are doing. So what's the future like?
Oh, the future, like, I think, the future is, the next few months is actually quite exciting. I would just mention two highly anticipated features from our roadmap. That is Ethereum and ICP direct integration. The other one is VECI. But let me explain a little bit. So Ethereum and ICP integration is going to be a game changer. So we are building this feature so that the smart contract on ICP can make API calls directly to the smart contract on Ethereum. And it does not rely on the centralized bridge, right? Right now, the entire industry, in order for one ecosystem to talk to the other, is to use a centralized bridge. So in our view, that is not very safe. That is very insecure, because you have to place blind trust on human at some point. So with this direct integration, it does not use any bridge. We use cryptography at a protocol level to make sure that if we initiate a transaction, say from ICP mainnet, we send this transaction, this request, to a smart contract on Ethereum, and the Ethereum mainnet will be able to not only receive that, but also recognize the signature that is attached to this transaction, and will be able to respond with the same with another transaction that is signed with the signature of Ethereum network. So basically, we are talking about the true interoperability between ICP and Ethereum. That is something that the industry hasn't been able to achieve, right? When we talk about cross-chain, you have to say, it's really basically say, oh, we both trust Michael in the middle. So you stake your assets, I stake my assets, and then we just trust that Michael will make us whole by the end of the day. And obviously, we know that that's not always the case. Sometimes Michael can be naughty, or he can just disappear. So with this Ethereum and ICP direct integration, we can just at a more practical level, we'll be able to provide a couple of things to the developers. One is we will finally become compatible to all the ERC20 and the ERC720 tokens. So finally, we have stablecoin on ICP. That is obviously a mission critical and essential for the DeFi ecosystem on ICP. So that's coming soon, right? And then the other thing is with this direct integration with Ethereum, we'll be able to be compatible to EVM. Right? So even though we can say we are a big fan of Solidity smart contract in the beginning, but we do want to lower the entry barrier for a lot of Ethereum developers to come to our ecosystem to be able to leverage the powerful features from ICP. So with this direct integration, we are going to give them that, so that they will be hopefully less intimidated, by this conceived barrier. The barrier will be very, very minimum. Actually, another team based out of Europe called Definity. It's a European team. Definity team has already created this EVM on IC. Basically, they build this EVM machine in the Canister smart contract, so that as a developer who's very familiar with Solidity, you can now easily deploy your existing smart contract to ICP using this EVM built by the Definity team. And you can do that without the trouble of setting up your own layer 2 network. So you don't have to create another Arbitrum or OP in order to do that. So that'll be I think that'll be a very welcome feature for a lot of Ethereum builders. And the other thing is, so that's one, Ethereum direct integration is gonna come soon in a few months. Another one is called a VAC key. So VAC key, basically for VAC key, this feature we've been working on is for smart contract to store a private key, to store your private identity, so that we no longer need to rely on the key pair. Right? Traditionally, crypto is all about public key, private key, not your key, not your coin. Right? That's the model. We think there's another way of doing this, of basically securing your assets, and also in the trustless fashion. Basically, we use identity to authenticate the transactions. Right? We don't, and in this method, it does not rely on a key pair. But the key thing is, your key needs to be stored in a smart contract, and that is very, very difficult to do. Right? Traditionally, either you store the key in a TE in the trusted environment, in the physical trusted environment, using features like adding the SEV from AMD to make sure the physical machine is entirely it's well protected. Even even the owner of the machine won't be able to see what's inside. But that's a traditional way. We think there's another way of basically storing the key into the smart contract, so that a smart contract can authenticate your identity without revealing who you are. And there are many interesting use case scenarios that will come out of this, such as Desmond's wish. What if you want to send a message to, say, your descendants, Muha, 100 years from now? This feature can allow you to do that.
Wow.
It's a timer, right? You can set up a timer. Or you can say, hey, let's say I live my life, dangerously. I do some sensitive work, and if I don't touch this if I don't make an interaction with this smart contract every 6 months, this smart contract will reveal all my emails to the world. Something like that. That's possible. With this VAC key feature, VAC key, the concept was proposed by Dan Bonnet from Stanford, Dan Bonnet professor from Stanford University a couple of years ago. We have finally brought this whole feature into fruition. We just released a demo just about a month ago. So a lot of developers are just overjoyed that this feature is now available. But we are going to bring this home in the next few months of landing this entire feature for our community. So VAC key is a powerful feature. It's a powerful feature. Oh, what does it do? What's the relevance, right? In the layman's term, we can finally achieve end-to-end encryption for any applications. Now that to do that, that is extremely difficult, if not impossible. Not even Signal can do that. Not to mention a lot of other. I wouldn't even. They're just not there. Not even Signal can claim they can do 100% end-to-end encryption. But with VecKey, let's say if I send 100 emails to 100 different recipients, I'll be able to encrypt every one of them, and I can ensure every one of these transactions is protected, 100% end-to-end encryption. So we're talking about total, true user privacy for real.
And what you guys are building is something different. The other projects aren't. I mean, me hearing this future roadmap in a few months it's such a great thing that you guys are doing, for sure.
Yeah, it's so I think that's why a lot of us, even in this very bearish market, we continue to do what we were doing yesterday. Even though we are the minority, we always, sometimes people tend to make fun of us because they don't believe this is possible. But every day we are seeing more signals that the vision of ICP is, at least the part of it, is coming to reality. And that excites us, that inspires us. And that is, I think that's a future that is worth fighting for. Otherwise, does the world need another better version of Ethereum? I don't know. Do we need to rerun all the games from Wall Street all over again, only faster and all that? I don't know. But we want to be able to really give the data ownership to the users, whether that's an individual or enterprise, right? The total digital sovereignty we're talking about. We want, and that data should be working for you. You should be able to make money out of the data you have generated yourselves. That is not the way the internet has been going. So we want to bring that to all the users, pretty much everyone. We're talking about the entire mankind, and there should be no wars between different ecosystems. Right now, that is not the case. Like Tencent and Alibaba, they don't talk to each other. They don't share data to each other. As users, that is extremely inconvenient, right? Obviously, the same can be said between users of Google, Amazon Web Services, Meta, Apple, and Microsoft. So the internet that was created 30 years ago is now becoming an ocean of many isolated islands. And that is not good for the users. We are the one that's suffering in the end. But hopefully with the internet computer, we'll be able to bridge those islands, so that finally we can all set foot on the same land. We can talk to each other. We can walk to each other. We can shake hands. We can interact for real with each other, and then in the trustless fashion. With the confidence that we are talking to another real human being, not another bot. So that's our vision. It's a tall order, but it's very exciting for all of us.
Indeed, it is, and I guess our users and the guys who are in your community, also users, did understand the future is bright for ICP, and we cannot wait for everything to be achieved in the coming months. And 2024 itself, it's going to be a bright year, hopefully for the whole industry.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah,
so, we are at a precarious moment, I guess, at the industry, but I think the future is bright. I'm more of a the bottle is half full kind of guy.
Yeah.
So I think this is really, it's only in the bear market we can see who is swimming naked, who are the real builders. In the bull market, there's just too much noise, right? And and that noise buries reality. and clouds our judgment, thinking that we actually creating something that's just not really there. But in the bear market, that's how we can, that's, in the old days in the Web 2, that's how we saw Airbnb, Dropbox became giants, that Instagram, all that. So bear market in that sense is a good filter. It's a testament to what true builders can accomplish, and only true builders will be able to wade through the choppy waters of the bear market and eventually become the founders of the future unicorns.
And you guys are true builders. We can say that for sure.
Sometimes we are clumsy. We are not doing everything we should be doing, but we're not doing enough. But we like to see ourselves as builders, and so that's very that's very nice of you for you to say that, Moha.
Indeed, Herbert. And unfortunately, I think we could talk about ICP for days, not hours, for what you guys are doing and has been done in your sense. But unfortunately, we did came to the end of the LBank show, and in the name of the LBank, I just want to thank you for accepting the call and explaining everything like you should explain. And I guess this is the opportunity for the people to learn and know more about your project. I mean, you are well known, but a lot of people doesn't understand, and now hopefully they will do. Thank you, Herbert, for your time today, and I appreciate you so much.
Thank you, Muha. Yeah, the pleasure is all mine. Thank you, LBank. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Take it easy. Bye.